Justin Mensick is a fifth-generation farmer in rural Saunders County, Nebraska. The family farm grows corn, soybean, and sends some 40 head of cattle to market. When he woke up March 13th, all of that was in jeopardy as floodwaters washed in from the nearby Platte River.
I set my drone up and I just went looking to see, do we even have cows left? Where are they hiding at? So luckily I was flying around, I'm like, I don't see anything. All I see is a bunch of water. And then finally I got down really close to a spot where I kind of knew was high. And I saw a bunch of red little bodies just chilling out, surrounded by all this water. I go, holy crap, we might have a chance.
Justin Mensick says he and his family are some of the lucky ones here. The Nebraska Department of Agriculture has put the initial estimate in damages from these floods at around $400 million in lost livestock and $400 million in damages to crops.
Financially, it's a big thing because cows are not very cheap animal to buy, I guess you'd say. There's always lots of costs involved with having livestock. And then just to lose them like that is bad because if you have insurance on them, you have to have the body to get your insurance back out of it. And so if your cow washes away in the flooding, you can't get any insurance money out of it. Yes, this was all Platte River water that it came rushing through, and it grabbed all the sand and silt from over here and deposited it in the field. So this is supposed to have nice, we call it like winter cover for like, it'd just be dead corn stalks from the previous growing season. And now it just kind of looks like a desert a little bit. It'll probably impact it a little bit. Our yields probably won't be as good.
So when we start talking about these floods, they happened mid-March.
Sure.
We're officially now into April, but what are farmers concerned about at this point? Because they are not out of the clear by any means.
Absolutely. We're really at the beginning of dealing with this storm. And obviously there were some immediate needs for food, water, water for livestock, feed for livestock at the very beginning. Some of those needs continue. There are still some small towns in the state that do not have a fresh water supply. There's some rural water systems that still are not up and running, and in some cases won't be for a while because pipelines need to be reconstructed. These are pipelines that were washed out because of flooding.
This year, the U.S. Department of Agriculture forecast farmers would plant 4.1% more corn than last year, but that number was based on a survey sent to farmers before the floods. Some reports have shown more than 1 million acres of Midwest cropland flooded for at least 1 week in March. When we think of, the amount of corn, the amount of soybeans, the amount of beef that comes from, the Midwest and the heartland, does this start to have an impact beyond just the states that are affected?
Well, it's a very good question because certainly Nebraska is one of the top producing states for beef, for corn, for soybeans, for pork. Lots of things where Nebraska is within the top 5 of the producing states in the country. Mm-hmm. So certainly it's an issue. Right now we really don't have numbers to quantify what that means to future food costs or future availability of different supplies. We know that they will be affected. I think right now more of what we're concerned about is how does this affect individual farmers and ranchers.
That's what Mensick is focused on, feeding his small herd, fixing the roads, and clearing washed-up equipment on the farm. He's also waiting for some of the wet parts to dry out. Too much moisture in the soil decreases oxygen and suffocates the roots of the crops. Typically, planting season begins after the last frost, which this year's Farmer's Almanac says for this area is April 27th.